Hey, good morning. It's 8:52 a.m. It is December 19th, Saturday morning, and I wanted to make a video today. Now, you're probably wondering, why are you wearing a beanie and a scarf in your house? You're not outside. Well, because I'm cold, okay? And I'm cold. And I remember when I was a kid, I would go into the classroom and I would want to wear my coat and my mittens and my little beanie or whatever. And my teacher would always say, when you go outside, you're going to be cold, right? And I never found that to be true because I'm warm here in the classroom. And when I would go out to play on recess, I was still pretty warm, even considering the wind would be blowing on my face. So I always thought, don't tell people things like this. So they could like basically try to persuade a kid to do what they do, which is bullshit. You know what I mean? So I remember telling my dad about it, and my dad was like, you know what? If you are cold in the classroom, wear your coat. Into discussion. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Okay. So I would tell the teacher, you know what? I'm cold, and maybe you're not cold, but I am. So try to see it from my point of view. You know what I mean? It was just silly stuff. But anyway, I don't know. I was thinking that probably because it does seem a little weird for people to wear their coat and stuff like that inside. But I don't like turning on the heater all the time, and because it's a waste of electricity or gas or whatever. And sometimes it's just being able to bundle up. So anyway, I didn't need to go into all of that, but I needed to break the ice somehow. So whatever. Anyway, so I was just watching a really great video, and it was done by Ava888, and I put her video in the description box. And she brought a lot of good points in this, and I love this video because she's another targeted person. And she's talking about things that are really important. It's focus. And I personally think that in life, we have to be focused on the things that we are meant to do. Our internal calling, okay? This is what we have to focus on. And sometimes we get distracted by outside influence. This is getting a little uncomfortable. So I'm going to take this part off. I'm keeping the hat on because Maria's hair is bushy. Anywho, we get distracted by outside sources. Like you get people who want to bully you. They want to distract you from what you need to do in your life, okay? And so I appreciate this video because she was on focus. It was the things that she needed to do, the things that she's interested in doing, her life goals, her beliefs, her whatever. This is about her. And this is what it should be about. It shouldn't be, nobody wants conflict. Nobody wants to do these sort of things. So for somebody who comes from the targeted individual community to focus on doing something other than talking about the perps, the injustice, the surveillance, the gossip, the bullshit, whatever, is a good step. So I love this video. So anyway, as she was talking, I kept thinking, what, I was thinking just a few days ago that I want to steer my channel away from talking about gang stalking all the time. Now, I think it's an important conversation. I think every person in this country, in other countries as well, everywhere, it should be a worldwide serious discussion from the time that you kids are going to school, and they should talk about it in the home. They should talk about it at work. They should talk about it everywhere because these things are serious, okay? Serious, life-changing, could be extremely devastating. It could cause all kinds of damage, okay? So it's like they call it the silent Holocaust, right? So anyway, steering off that conversation, it is a very important conversation. So anyway, I want to start talking more about picking up where I left off, meaning these are the things that I'm going into. This is my interest. This is my focus. This is the life that I'm living for myself, that I've made decisions on for me, and this is my path. So this is what I choose to focus on, okay? So anyway, so I'm naming this video Eternal Spiritual Chat because she was talking about this is the first of many of her future videos based on talking about her spiritual path, and whatever. So she wants to start doing something different, and I too want to start doing something different instead of talking about this all the time. So I was making a joke like let's eternally spiritual path. Let's talk, or spiritual chat. Eternally kind of steer away if we can. Like, and I'm encouraging everybody to do this. Try to get your mind off this targeting thing so much, because it takes up way too much time. Way too much time. And it's not good. Okay. So anyway, I was taking notes on her video, of things that I also agree with and wanted to talk about. I highlighted my topics in pink, and these are the ones that she brought up that I have opinions on. Okay. So anywho, so I was thinking about making a separate channel, which I do have a separate channel. I made it like 3 years ago, and I did like maybe 1 or 2 videos on it, and then I kind of abandoned it because I was over concerned about the gang stalking and everything else. So I would like to maybe either turn this channel into these topics, or then take the other channel and then just use that channel, or phase this one out but keep the videos. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, but anyway, let's see here. Discovery. Oh, okay. She was talking about, her development, her spiritual development, and we all have different paths. Okay, some people's spiritual development, or their path, is going to lean more towards maybe like a group type church spiritual path. This is where they've been led. They feel more comfortable there. They enjoy that sort of thing. They like the community. They enjoy that sort of stuff. Some people are Catholic. Some people are Baptist. Some people are Presbyterian. Some people are going to be Methodist. Some people are going to be whatever. And this is what their path, and they feel comfortable. They like all the ceremonies. They like all the doctrine. This is what they have identified with, and they feel comfortable doing that. Okay, and this is what they should be doing if this is where they're being drawn. Okay. Because that's their spiritual path. This is where they've been led. And so I started developing my spiritual gifts, I should say, when I was really little. Like, we used to live at Edwards Air Force Base for a very short time when I was a kid. I think it was from like when I was 2 all the way till I was 3, because we moved to Lancaster when I was 3. So I started noticing, and I have memory that goes back to where I was 2 years old. Okay, so I do remember having spiritual experiences even as a child, from very, very, very young. Okay, so so it started happening there, and then when I moved to the house in Lancaster, I also had a lot of spiritual experiences, but they would mostly happen during the nighttime. Okay, sometimes they would happen during the day, but most of the time it was at night. And I would tell my family about it, and I found it really strange that my mother would kind of poo-poo my my concerns, or with the things that I was going through. And this is not a bash video, because I'm not bashing anybody anymore. I'm tired of speaking the truth. I was speaking the truth when I was bashing these people, okay? But and that involves all my perps. But but I found it odd that she would poo-poo, or like kind of roll her eyes, or try to tell me that, just be quiet, shut up, or act like she didn't believe me. Because her family, she had a sister who was born what they call a caul, over her eyes, which, doesn't mean much now in this day and age, but many years ago. Okay, and I believe this whole idea started somewhere like in Europe, and then it got passed down to the United States, and then people in the United States started believing it. But a lot of people believe that if you were born with a caul over your eyes, this is a thin layer or membrane over your eye, then you were able to see spirits and have other supernatural abilities. Okay, so she had a sister who was always saying that she could see people. She could see spirits. She could hear things. She could do things. And so, my mother was very much aware that this sort of thing was in the family, okay? In the blood or something. I don't know. But anyway, so, but my dad believed me. He did. He believed me. And I really appreciated the fact that he believed me, okay? He never over obsessed about it. He understood that there was some other worlds out there, or there was other not dimensions, but this is how we have a spiritual, it's a spiritual world. It is a spiritual world, okay? And so anyway, so in it became a devotion to me because I knew that this is comes from something not from me. I knew it was divine even before somebody even explained what God was, what church was, what religion was, or anything like that. It's like I knew and I appreciated, and most importantly, I respected it. Respected it. Like it was like this power, this gift does not come from me. It is divine. Okay. So when I was younger, I would see things like, on TV, because this is the only world explanation you got. I would see things like, movies about nuns. And so I thought, well, maybe that's what I want to do, because I want to be around this 24 hours a day. I want this to be my life, to revolve around it. So I thought maybe I would be a nun, and then I started looking a little bit into that, and not deeply, okay, because I don't know much about Catholicism, a little bit, but I've never like joined any of the churches or anything like that. But my goal was to be in this like every single minute of my life, in every way. Okay. So, but anyway, there were certain things I didn't like about that, or I didn't feel comfortable with when it came to Catholicism. Okay. But so I never chose that path, but it was always in me that I wanted to find something that was right for me. So when I was in I was in junior high when I met this girl named Amanda, which I was glad to meet because, I grew up in a predominantly white area, and she was also an African American. And so, I was interested because I had never been around other African American kids for long periods of time. Okay. The ones that I did know were older than me. And we did have somebody that we knew a little bit when I was growing up. But, you either click as friends or you don't. Just because she's black or this person's black doesn't mean you're going to be friends. Right? But you still keep thinking, I kind of would like to have a black friend. Okay. So anyway, I sat with her on the first day of school in 8th grade, and we started talking. And she's like, do you know do you know what Jehovah is? And I said, yeah, that's the name of God. Because I was already studying into religion. I was already interested. But she introduced me into this Jehovah's Witness path. And so, but see, my parents had studied with Jehovah's Witnesses years before I started studying with Jehovah's Witnesses. So what I did was, I remember her talking about it. And so I would go and look at some of my old books that were stored out in the garage that my dad had from her religious faith. So for many years I studied with Jehovah's Witnesses, okay? And I had a lot of questions that they couldn't answer. And unfortunately, and I appreciated the fact that they did stick with the scripture based on their understanding, okay? Because everybody seems to have their own understanding of what the scriptures are. And that's apparent because that's why we have all these different denominations. We have, some denominations that believe it's okay for people to kiss before you're married, and some people are like, well, some religions believe that you shouldn't do that until like you're at least courting, as they call it, like officially courting. And some of these people have different little rules, denominations, beliefs, or even what Jesus did while he was on the earth. There's all kinds of debates and disagreements on little tiny issues. And that's the reason why we have all these different denominations. But anyway, so I didn't agree with the fact because I knew that I had intuition. I knew that I had, and see, some religions believe that those gifts are still available today. And some believe that those were only gifts that were available back in, before Jesus' time. The gifts of prophecy, some people, whatever. So it was like, I didn't really feel like the Jehovah's Witness things was for me. Also, I saw a lot of hypocrisy in there. And then I did the research on the foundation of the Watchtower and Tract Society. So I gravitated away from that because there was a lot of contradictions. Okay. So anyway, throughout the years, I have studied different things. Okay. Like, and not all of it I've accepted or even believed. I was just more out of curiosity. Okay. Like, for example, I don't know. I'm not like an expert Hindu person because I'm not Hindu. Okay. But what made me interested in that religion for a brief moment is because of my experiences with astral travel. Now, she brought up the fact that she was able to go through different worlds, okay, like different dimensions or different whatever. Astral traveling is something that happens at night, but I do recall having a time where I did it while I was awake, and that's called bilocation, which is a completely different topic altogether. But anyway, so I started looking. I remember telling my sister that I had this experience, and this is when I was like in fifth grade, and she said, "Oh, you astral traveled." And I thought, I don't know what astral travel is. She said she read a book about, some Indian dude who astral traveled. And then I kept thinking, oh. So then I started looking and went to the library and got a book and started reading about it. And so, you read about different people because certain countries or certain cultures, okay, have explanations for things that we in the West don't. So that's why I started being interested in it. No, I'm not Hindu. I obviously, but there's a lot of people who, just because I'm not Indian doesn't mean that there's a lot of people who do convert to the Hindu faith. Even people who aren't, Indian, but still, or from Asia or anything like that, but they do because they might have some sort of gravitational pull to it or whatever. But no, I'm not. But it was like, but it did provide information and answers as to why these things occur, how they occur, and blah 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 blah. So I was appreciative of that. So I've had these gifts for a very very long time, and yeah. Oh yeah. Another issue I've had was I noticed that I was sensitive to electronics or buildings or structures, any sort of power structure that has some sort of energy in it, natural energy in it. Like when I was little, you know how the house settles, at night, and it makes that popping sound. I would get cold, and I would get cold, and then I'd shiver, and then the house would pop. Like, so I would actually know when the house was. That's not a big deal, okay? It's not going to change the world. It's not going to, feed a bunch of starving kids. It's not going to do anything. It's not that a miraculous issue, but I understood that there's something in tune with me. I still, to this day, I deal with issues that relate to my thoughts and how it affects electronics. I know that when I was growing up, I couldn't wear a watch because all my watches would break or stop, and then I started reading information about why these things occur. And then I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Well, I know that I've been persecuted a lot because of my, well, see, I was a scapegoated kid anyway. Okay, I was set up from the get-go to be scapegoated. Okay, this is not me bringing up an issue. It is simply just talking about my life journey. Okay, I was persecuted for, not being like all the other kids. Like, all the other kids. And I would play out in the playground. You know what I mean? If kids were jumping rope, I would jump rope. Okay, but I was always picked apart. So when I was studying with Jehovah's Witnesses, you better believe that I was being bullied. But then they would have bullied me anyway. You know what I mean? They were bullying me before I even started like going to, the Jehovah's Witness thing. That's just how it was and now it's understood why I was different. I had different interests because number one, I had a spiritual interest. I have higher intellectual abilities than the people that I grew up with. So all the little things that most little kids do, even though I did them, I always had something. I remember being called a know-it-all when I was in grade school. Like, we would have conversations and I would start going into the explanations of like the origins of stuff or whatever. And the kids on the playground would be like, well, you think you know everything, whatever. So, I see now, I have developed into who I am. I understand why the bullying occurred when I was growing up. And so I am comfortable with who I am. This is my belief. I respect other people's beliefs because this is their path. This is where they're supposed to be on. And whatever path they choose to follow based on their human understanding, they will be judged accordingly on the day of judgment. Okay? And so it's not for me to make those decisions for other people. And it certainly isn't for them to make those decisions for me. Luckily, we live in a country where we have freedom of religion. There's some countries where that's not available to other people, and I'm so sad for these people. I'm sorry that this is the way it is. Okay, and sadly, even in the United States, we still get persecuted for what we have every right to do. It is our birthright to do these things. Okay, and some people, in like I said, in other countries, are denied their birthright. The minute we step on this earth, we have freedom. We are meant to be free. We are meant to be free. Absolutely. Even people with black skin, we are meant to be free. Okay? We're meant to think for ourselves. We're meant to do things for ourselves. We're meant to make decisions. And so, so it's not about, I don't want to be in conflict with other people. Okay? But some people are just going to be bullied in society, you see. And so, so where am I now in my spiritual journey? My spiritual journey to me is complete. Meaning, like, you know, I don't question things. I don't. There are certain things like I would love to know, but there's certain things in this world I will never know because I'm not God. You know what I mean? And I have to respect that. You know, but I'm comfortable. Like, I don't feel embarrassed about being who I am. If I'm in a room full of Baptist or Catholic people, I'm not going to feel pressured or ashamed that I'm not going to their church or whatever. This is who I am. This is what I'm comfortable with. This is how I live. And I wouldn't live any other way. So, freedom to express. Oh, okay. So, yeah, I know in when I was in high school, and because you understand that there is a different layer to this world that we live in, okay? Meaning that you're aware, you're spiritually awake, and you're aware. I'm gonna have to make this video to two videos, maybe even longer, because number one, I have the time to talk, and there's nothing else for me to do, and I have the house to myself today, so, and I'm really bored, so I might just make and I'm just really into talking right now because I'm so lonely. But yeah, okay. So when I was in high school, you know, I would go to the library, and then I would go and look up other books on the supernatural, because since I'm aware that the supernatural exists, I'm going to want to know from other people's perspective what's possible, what is possible. You know what I mean? Is it possible to change things? Is it possible to use this? I mean, is alchemy real? Is all these things, you know, is there some substance to it, you know? So of course I was going to read into those things. And I know that for many years I had studied what do you call it? Like what they call the pagan type, earth type based religions that I was interested into, because I do understand there is a value in plants. There's a value in herbs. There's a value in everything. I believe everything has a certain energy that replenishes us, that gives us things, or gives off certain energies. So I appreciate those things. Okay, but that doesn't necessarily mean that was my chosen life path, because I obviously wasn't. It wasn't my chosen life path, but it was just like the information that I understood from these Hindu people, like explaining astral travel, because I believe they have a lot of answers to this. Okay, so thank you for this information. And then I internalize that, and I don't choose to adapt to the rest of it. It's just that they provided an explanation. And I found that the earth-based faith religions, or like, you know, they call Wicca, which I'm not a Wiccan, but I appreciate their books and their publications that I was reading at the time, because it did talk a lot about, you know, plants, their benefits, vegetation, blah, 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 blah. The things that are natural on the earth, and an explanation of it. So I appreciated those things, okay? And so I internalized that part. I don't need, you know, their casting of circles. I don't need their, you know, rituals. I don't need all of that. I just understand that every culture understands. I mean, people of every culture have utilized plants for healing. every culture, okay? Every culture on this earth. So this is a universal thing that everybody has. People used to heal their bodies with herbs. Now we use pharmaceuticals and stuff like that. So I appreciate the knowledge that I was able to obtain from these earth-based faiths, okay? But no, I'm not identified with that. So when people call me things like a witch or something, I'm going to explain. I don't consider myself a witch, okay? I don't consider myself a witch, but I understand why people say this, because they always think that if you are psychic, if you're, then they assume that you are a witch. To me, a witch is a person who performs rituals in a way that's polytheism, is that what they call it? Where you have they pray to multiple gods, multiple deities. They do certain rituals at certain times of year and whatever and all this other stuff continuously. It's a part of their life. I'm not one of those. Okay, I don't worship Moloch or anything else like that. I'm not into that stuff. Did I study it? Did I practice it for a little bit? You bet your ass I did. Why? Because it was a part of my spiritual journey to understand who I am. It was a part of my learning process, and I appreciate it. I do. I appreciate it. Do I agree with all of it? No. But thank you for telling me about the understanding of how we can heal our bodies, how we can take care of ourselves, and the importance of, plant life, animal life, blah, 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 nature in general. So that's just the way it is. Okay. So anyway, she brought up, I highlighted this. She talked about dissolving of friendships and family. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to come back with part 2 because this is getting a little bit too long. Hang on one second.